Sabado ulit ngayon, Saturday night. Sabi nga natin, gusto na nating baguhin yung habit natin every Saturday. And we're here again. We're here again with the Paulo Tibig Show. Alam nyo, eto na naman po tayo ngayong Sabado at talagang excited lagi, no? At lagi natin ngayon, nagiging habit na to. Sabi ko nga, eto na yung dapat bumago sa weekend natin, lalo na pag Sabado, whether nagdi-dinner kayo ngayon o nagpapahinga na o mamaya pa rin kakain pa lamang, di ba? Magandang gabi sa buong Pilipinas at sa lahat ng panig ng mundo na ngayon nanunood at sumusubaybay dito sa ating show. So magandang gabi. Right now, at this point, everyone, welcome and alam nyo, ito na naman yung pagkakataon na gusto nating i-share yung mga bagay na learnings natin, insights natin, motivation na makukuha natin sa lagi natin pinag-iisipan, sino nga ba yung ating i-guess kada linggo, di ba? Yun yung kailangan natin gawin, di ba? Bakit nga ba ginagawa natin dito? At ito ang ginagawa natin every week with work and business performances, alam nyo, needing a crucial boost, valuable content, di ba, to help corporate, di ba? Corporate natin from HR to sales to marketing and so on. To our business professionals must be easily, di ba? Kailangan maging equipped, magkaroon ng valuable lessons, insights at maraming bagay pa para maging makatulong sa kanilang mga companies and businesses. Towards this, the show will always feature real stories, learnings, and so many things line up from our industry experts, subject matter experts, di ba? Yung mga seasoned leaders and standout individuals on topics and issues that are highly relevant in today's work setting. Everyone, this is Paulo Tibig. Magandang gabi sa ating lahat and welcome to our Saturday night's habit. Ayan. Parang yung music yata natin ngayon, hindi ko alam kung nagti-TikTok o talagang nagti-TikTok na ha. Ayan. Anyway, again, we wanted to say hello to our first few viewers. Ito na yung ating mga viewers from all over. Cats, Dison, good evening, Sia. Good evening sa inyo. Cindy, Eusebio, good evening. Princess Sochi, good evening. Ito, nakikita na natin parang iba-ibang lugar na ng Pilipinas itong mga narito sa atin ngayon at naka-tune in na. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. I-share nyo na itong show natin sa inyong mga social media para nang sa ganon, mas maraming makinabang, mas maraming mag-benefit. Ayan, Gwen Nava, good evening, followers. Good evening po, ma'am. Magandang gabi po sa inyo at sa inyong team. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. So we wanted to say hello, everyone. Everyone, yung mga kumakain pa dyan, mag-comment na kayo kasi tonight na naman, napakagaling, napakahusay ng ating magiging bisita. Malapit na kaibigan po sa akin to at talaga namang marami po tayong matututunan sa kanya ngayong gabing ito. Okay, just some announcement for this, everyone. Social media, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, di ba? Instagram at Paulo Tibig, napakadali, PAULOTIBIG, and on your YouTube, syempre doon sa YouTube natin, di ba? At Paulo Tibig, if you wanted to watch this again, and look at so many video content na ina-upload natin doon. So sa YouTube nyo po, mag-subscribe na po kayo. Ayan, subscribe na Paulo Tibig sa ating YouTube for more videos. Now, if you wanted us to be with your team, with your company, with your businesses, let us know for our signature programs or bookings. Let me speak with you, with your team from culture building to standout leadership to sales master program, frontline management, simplified strategic planning. Lalo na ngayon, papunta na tayo dun sa next phase, di ba, ng ating fiscal year, doon sa next ladder natin, Spirit Core, and so many things, mindset of champions for motivating your team, ha? Let us know, nandiyan po yung detalye for your inquiries and bookings. And syempre, dapat sumali po kayo dun sa ating Workplace Excellence PH Professionals Community na talaga naman pong, I think we have reached thousands already ng ating mga professional community members, different industries. Iba-iba po yung profiling. Napakaganda pong, ayan, ang dami. Just this week alone, everyone, congratulations to our newest community members ng Workplace Excellence. Magandang gabi sa inyo. Ngayon lang po itong week na ito, and we see na talaga naman po talagang nakikita nila yung value, and I hope that makatulong kami sa inyo, no, in so many ways. We will welcome warmest welcome to all these newest members of our community. And lagi po namin pinapaalala, huwag niyo pong kalimutang fill upan yung pong dapat detalye, kasi po every so often we provide you with so many workplace motivation every Sunday. Nilalabas po natin yan, schedules, and sooner we will be announcing a lot of things going on for workplace excellence. Yan. Oh, yan. Good evening pa rin sa mga nanonood na sa atin yan. Melanie, Baby Nava, yung mother ko, Mami Ofelia, Joel David, Serena Landisan. Ilagay niyo po kung nasaan po kayong lugar ngayon all over the Philippines and all over the world, para mamaya habang may time po tayo, babatiin namin po kayong lahat hanggat maaari. Kakayanin po namin batiin kayo. Okay. Ito, i-announce na natin yung ating winner last week. Imagine mo, meron na tayo yung segment natin. Di ba yung tutok to win winner natin last week? Ano nga ba yung naging tanong natin last week, everyone? Uulitin ko lang ho yung tanong natin last week, sa ating tutok to win. Ayan, ito, ang tanong natin kay Sir Rex Mendoza last week. Anong year nag-start o anong taon nga raw nag-start ang corporate career ni Mr. Rex Mendoza? Ang daming sumagot doon at meron tayong nanalo. Ang nanalo ay si Miss K. Mayuga Perez. Miss K. Mayuga Perez, kung nandyan ka ngayon, kung naka-tune in ka ngayon, we will get in touch with you, our team will get in touch with you, at para mapadala natin yung ating ipinangakong standout book, syempre with signature and with autograph. Yun po yung atin. At sooner, baka yung ibang sponsors natin, meron na rin mga products na ipapadala kami sa inyo. So, everyone, lahat na naka-tune in ngayon, sumali po kayo sa tutok tuwin natin. Tutok tuwin natin itong ating segment na ito. Napakadali pong sumali. Unang-una, paano nga ba? Ito yung mga mechanics, lalatag lang natin. Una, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Paulo Tibig. Watch our live streaming, diba, through our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Again, Paulo Tibig lang po yun, diba? Lagi niyong iset ang alarm nyo pag Sabado ng gabi, 7 p.m. Sabi nga natin, baguhin na natin Saturday night habit natin at mag-tune in dito sa the Paulo Tibig Show, TPT Show, and wait for me na itanong yung ating tanong ng tutok tuwin na sa kada gabi, Sabado ng gabi. Don't worry, hindi kaya natin magbigay ng 10,000 o ng jacket yan. Ang tanging mabibigay natin, loads, tons of motivation and insight and learning. Bukod sa, syempre, may konting mga papremyo rin tayong ipapadala, Yun. So hopefully magkaroon na. But definitely yung libro ko po na Standout Strategies of a Champion Entrepreneur, kasama. Ayan! Nandito si Miss K. Mayuga Perez. Kay, good evening. Ikaw yung nanalo. Sa dami yung sumagot, pero ikaw yung unang sagot. Kaya expect that you will be calling and getting in touch with you para doon sa iyong prize na napanalunan. Okay? Yan. So batiin pa natin mga iba, Itong mga bago nating mga nandito na ulit sa ating viewership, kay Jelly Victor, excited to see and hear you. Greg Banzon, definitely Jelly. It's going to be an exciting evening for all of us. Kay Mayuga, yan. Jim Phil Rebato. Hi, Sir Paulo. Have a good evening. Yes, magandang gabi, Jim Bill. At doon pa sa iba, everyone, i-share nyo na po. I-share nyo na share nyo na para mas marami na ulit ang makapakinig at manood sa atin sa ating TPT show for this evening. Tonight, everyone, will be an exciting night. Very excited po ako dito because you will learn how, di ba? How brands and how to lead a market, di ba? Yung ating magiging guest talaga ngayong gabi, talaga namang ano ba, sasabihin ko bang ito isang turnaround guy talaga. And kung paano natin maririnig yung mga insights niya, how to build a brand, how to make a brand, your businesses, your companies, di ba? Be a market leader. Parang ganyan. So, if you are excited, everyone, comment down, di ba? On our chat box at maglagay na po kayo, magtanong na po kayo later after which magkakaroon po tayo ng Q&A sa ating segment na Viewers Q. So mamaya po yan. Okay? Mamaya po yan. So, kung lahat po ay ready na, bago natin simulan itong ating discussion for tonight at bago natin pakilala, let me share with you our segment, yung ating standout quote for the week. Yan. Nabasa natin yung standout quote for the week natin. Ano nga ba ito? Yan. Champion leaders believe in themselves. They know who they are. They know that they have what it takes to lead well. So, yun po So, gusto natin na ang bawat leader, diba, unang-una naniniwala sa sarili nila because at the end of the day, it is something that dapat may self-knowledge tayo at we believe in what we can do in order for us to be champion leaders, in order for us to lead people. So, lagi niyo pong tatandaan yan, Lagi niyo pong tatandaan yan. Ito po yung ating standout quote for the week. Okay, patuloy pa rin natin yung ating mga kachuchunin lang. Ian Santos, magandang gabi sa iyo. Magandang gabi sa yung team. Good evening. Kay Miss Gloria, magandang gabi rin po sa inyo. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Okay, so ano nga ba nangyari? Kumusta po kayo nitong past 5 days this week? Alam naman po natin na medyo, I'm sure everyone is very busy. Alam nyo, getting into the news, diba? Iba-iba yung news na naririnig natin. But on our end, alam nyo, yung ginawa na namin with this, within the week, we started the week speaking to a public rant for about burnout, about stress. Yun po yung sinimulan natin. And then we also did a talk for yung ating moving business, how yung last mile delivery, kasi yun na po yung nangyayari ngayon, di ba? Everyone is now in online selling, online marketing. So it is proper that we know exactly how to move our businesses, our companies, and shifting and adapting to this, no? Yesterday, I did also a motivational session with Isla Gas. Mukhang nagiging regular na kami. Thanks to Leadmore. Kung nakikinig at nakatune in din si Dean Paclapit, magandang gabi din. Very good tandem again for our Solane group yesterday. So this is our second year speaking to this group of amazing sales and team of Isla Gas. Yan. So ito po, kayo po, kumusta po yung nangyari sa inyo within the week, no? And I hope na whether you're in your companies, in your businesses, so work-related, alam naman natin na itong lahat na ito ay ginagawa natin lagi na lamang, di ba? Para sa ating pamilya in that end. Yan, gusto pa natin batiin. Ito yung mga prime mover ng businesses at ng companies in the country, Miss Lily. Ito yung ating tutok to win girl. Diba? As always, thank you for following Miss Roda Kaliwara. Miss Roda, Miss Rods, magandang gabi sa iyo and to all our your team all over the Philippines. Boss Ruel. Nako, si Boss Ruel, DG. Ito na yung part dyan lang, nasa backstage na lang siya. So Ruel, standby lang dyan Kay Paul Grecia, good evening. Mel Spena, good evening sa inyong lahat. And pakilala na natin. Parang dapat introduce, alam nyo, very guest natin ngayon. Babasahin ko po sa inyo, i-intro ko po sa inyo yung ating guest for tonight. If you are ready, I'm excited. I'm sure you are all excited. Okay, first, Ito yung tao, ito yung ating guest. Ah, backstage. Tanggalin na natin yung music. Tanggalin na natin yung music. Yan, yan. Alam niyo, ganun po talaga pag online show, di ba? Hindi katulad na ng may pre-production talaga. Don't worry, pag nagka-budget na kami, baka talagang mga music natin maayos na yan, ha? Everyone. Okay. So, natin, he manages both the strategic and day-to-day operations of the country's largest canned food company with brands in the meat, seafood, dairy, and sauces and coconut products category. Greg is credited for having driven the rapid growth of the packaged seafood brands Century Tuna and 555 to dominant share positions in the Philippines, where CPFI holds over 80% share in tuna and is among the top 3 brands in sardines category. Sabi ko nga, di ba, parang ito pong during pandemic, lahat po yata ng supot ng ayuda. Tiyak hindi po nawawala tong kanilang brand. Definitely pag dilata ang pinag-usapan, meron at meron talagang nando na Century Tuna. And we will all know, di ba? Dahil doon po, laging kasama yan. Greg is also credited for making Century Super Buds, an iconic catchphrase to mean health, fit, sexy, and is now considered part of the pop culture landscape in the Philippines. Yan, ito yung problema natin sa DJ Ruel. Super Buds, mukhang si Sir Greg lang yung Super Buds tayo. Ano sabi mo nga? Ano na tayo Daddy Buds na tayo. Parang pangtatay na body na tayo. The company dairy's business reports after Greg, where its flagship Birch Tree Fortified Milk is now the country's number 2 powdered milk brand 4 years after its launch, and was named by AC Nielsen as the overall fastest growing FMCG brand in the Philippines in 2019. Greg also led the rapid expansion of CPFI internationally by building distribution for Century Tuna, 555 sardines, and Argentina meats in North America, the Middle East, Europe, Asia Pacific, where Century is one of the leading supermarket brands in China and Vietnam. The Century Tuna brand is also a strong top 3 player in the Middle East and in Israel. CPFI brands can now be found in 80 countries across the world. Diyos ko, hindi ko na alam kung paano pa i-explain tong market leadership na pag-uusapan natin na tonight. Diba? With a very strong footprint in the USA, Canada, and GCC countries in the Mid-East and in Singapore. The Century and Argentina brands are carried by top retailers such as Walmart, Safeway, Carrefour, Giant, FairPrice, and Albertsons. So yung mga SMEs pong nakikinig sa atin at naka-tune in sa atin ngayon, simula hanggang dulo, pakinggan po natin si Sir Greg. I'm sure marami po siyang insight kung paano nyo po mapapalaki ang inyong mga brands also, di ba? Recently achieved entry into the 13 markets via the African Union and is building inroads across the African continent. Prior to Century Pacific, Greg was the BP for branded foods of RFM, where he led dramatic growth of the company in dairy, juices, and meat categories, as well as rebuilt the company's capabilities in manufacturing meat and milk products. He was formerly the VP Marketing of Johnson & Johnson for ASEAN and was the youngest ever to be appointed Managing Director of J&J Company when he took over as President and MD, Managing Director of Johnson & Johnson, Indonesia. He achieved this after rapidly rising up the ranks of J&J Philippines and Asia Pacific. He also served as the Group Product Manager of Bayer Philippines and is credited for many innovations while with the company. Greg started his career at Citibank. Ngayon ko lang nalaman, partner, na bankero ka rin pala, where he was a management trainee with a particular focus on treasury. His awards, some of the recognitions, everyone. Recipient of country's most prestigious marketing honor, the Agora Awards, di ba? In 3 different categories: Outstanding Achievement in Marketing, Management Individual Award. Naku, mukhang dito kami nagkasama talagang mabuti ni Greg. Export Marketing in 2018, Corporate Award. Marketing Company of the Year in 2011, Corporate and Individual Award. Also, recognized for leading Century Pacific Food Inc. as the Philippine representative to the Asian Marketing Excellence Awards and winning the Asia Marketing Company of the Year in 2016 by the Asia Marketing Federation. Subsequently led the company to being awarded as the Asia Export Marketing Award in 2018 in recognition of the global expansion of the Century Tuna and Argentina canned meat brands. Awarded the CEO Excel Award for Business Communication by the International Association of Business Communication in 2007. Was named by the country's top advertising industry publication, the Adobo magazine, as among the 10 most influential people in marketing and advertising in 2016, and was also named as the most influential people in triathlon and running by the Race Day Media Group in 2014. Mukhang kung ito po talaga ako, witness po ako talaga kay Greg na talagang very, very good triathlete, very disciplined in his eating. Tayo po mukhang triathlete. Try lang tayo ng try, di ba? Yun po ang nangyayari. Everyone, join me in welcoming our guest for tonight, Mr. Greg Banzon. Sir Greg,
hello. Good evening everyone. Magandang gabi. Nawala si Paulo. Maganda. I hope everyone's having a good evening. And thank you for having me in the show, Mr. Paulo, my idol. Nawala si Paulo.
Please on the track. Request me banana. Me a the girl them banana farmer. You all of them a request me banana. They like come man no want go home. Every time 2 times them want more. They like come man no want go home. Every 3 times sometimes them want 4. They like come man no want go home. Me have a seen a girl she named Cassandra. Me say she comes straight from Colombia. So I make her recommend no my banana. Your mama say that's the manana. So me do it. And girl a tell me say me banana sweet. Them say the length and size make them way. You know say that. So me do it. And girl a tell me say me banana sweet. Them say the length and size make them way. With it, group drop.
Ayan, we're back everyone.
Sorry. Good evening.
Sorry partner, sorry. Technical. Ito talaga ang technical problem. Alam mo, hindi talaga nawawala. Pasensya na everyone, nawala ako. Sorry for that. But then again, at least natapos ko yung introduction with our guest. Greg, magandang gabi. Thank you for joining us. Sabi ko nga sa iyo, this is good evening. And I'm sure nakikita mo we have a lot of viewers all over the Philippines and all over the world na kung saan tayo nakakaabot. And sa introduction pa lang, sabi ko nga partner, sobrang hindi ko lang alam pag hindi pa naman hindi pa naging validated, 'di ba, yung magiging insight for today, for tonight. and I hope na makatulong ito sa lahat ng ating viewers all over. Sir Greg, maraming
Medyo
salamat. And
na-pressure nga ako eh. Medyo na-pressure ako sa intro.
hindi naman. Alam mo naman, 'di ba? Syempre, matagal tayong magkaibigan and sabi nga natin, what we wanted for the PT show, talagang yung mga best at talagang marami tayong makukuha at magiging benchmark, may apply natin. Kasi ang gusto natin dito makatulong sa ating mga viewers, whether they're into their corporate career or they're into business. And I'm sure with your expertise, di ba? With your talagang corporate career that spans years na rin, and ito talaga yung malaking magiging tulong. Si Sir, kung narinig mo kanina, si Ruel, nandyan din sa atin at nanonood din. At
Uy, si
I'm
Yusek,
sure,
si Director
si
General
Yusek,
Roel.
Yusek,
Uy, sir,
ayan.
good evening. Good evening, Roel.
Ayan, oo. O yan. So paano, Greg?
Lalo kong
Bibigay
kinabahan.
ko na sa iyo.
Lalo kong kinabahan. Nandiyan pala si Yusek
Si Sir
tsaka si Director
oo nga,
General.
si Yusek at marami tayong guests sa different industries yung ating mga nakikita ko dito sa ating comment box, di ba? From IPO, from Pulsecon, yung mga manpower agencies natin. And then, yan, marami pa. And
Lagay ko yung
from all over.
lola ko nanonood. Yung lola ko siguro nanonood din.
Lola mo, ako tita ko, nakita ko, nandiyan na rin. Tsaka yung nanay ko nanonood na rin. Ayan. And then we have a lot of people from HR, ito, from Antipolo, Marivic. Sino pa? Sige, ilabas nyo na muna. Ayan, Jomar Valdivia, magandang gabi po, PMT. O yan, magandang gabi, Jomar. Lee Anthony from Isla Gas. From Isla Gas, thank you, Lee. Ralph Alindogan from IPO. Rina, good evening, Rina. And so many. So sige, bigyan na natin yung time for Sir Greg. Mamaya babatiin pa rin natin sila, and I hope na you will listen, you will view this. Everyone, watch this, and i-share nyo na sa lahat ng inyong social media network para mas maraming makapakinig, makapanood ng ating episode for tonight. Greg, we will give you now the floor. Sige.
Paulo, first of all, congratulations on your show.
Yan. Thank you.
I think we need, during this very difficult period of our history, hindi lang ng Pilipinas, I guess, buong mundo, di ba? We need to have like positive and let's say constructive even initiatives like what you're doing at their show to set the world right. And so I think it's a step in the right direction. Continue to provide hope, inspiration, and even maybe direction. Kasi saan ba tayo papunta, di ba? So, yeah, congratulations. And of course, salamat sa pag-imbita mo dito. Malaking bayad ng ginawa ko para maimbitahan mo ko, di ba? Binayaran kita ng mga...
Palabiro lang po itong si Greg. Palabiro lang po ito. But you know, this is a very serious person, and maraming salamat din, Sir Greg, for this. Kasi sabi ko nga, ito po yung promise natin with all our viewers. We will just get the best of the best amongst our country's industry experts and standout leaders, di ba, in our corporate world, in business also. Kasi nga, at the end of the day, alam nyo, ito yung sinasabi kong, how can we use our platform to help people? And I think, as a public speaker, ito yung isang pwede nating maibahagi through this platform na, alam mo, makakatulong tayo. And maraming salamat for joining us. And hindi pa man, di ba, I'm sure itong mga taong to are very excited for all this. Okay. Sige, are you going to share things?
Okay. I have like a 10-minute presentation maybe to just frame everything tapos kwentuhan tayo after.
Okay.
Share screen. Ito, application window. Ito. Sana nakikita na ng mga viewers natin yung slide na pinipare ko. Inuna kong slide yung picture mo eh. Siyempre, kailangan magandang opening tayo dapat. So yan. So this is the Paulo Tibig Show, and I was fortunate to be invited na para siguro pag-usapan yung insights into market leadership. So I guess aside from the introduction that was done by Paulo a while ago, maybe a little bit of background or source of maybe where I'm framing and scoping yung mga pag-usapan tonight is yung experience ko. So I've been in the industry for right after college. I went into Citibank and only to realize that maybe the bank wasn't really for me, and I wanted to go into marketing. And so I began a very long journey and career, I guess, with multinational companies for, I guess, the first 20 years of my career. Sa hatawan sa multinational, and I was fortunate to work with companies like Johnson and Johnson, Bayer, and even Citibank as part of the lineup. And through that experience, maraming na akong naging nahawakan ng mga brands, both for I guess family use, infants, home, household, etc. Interestingly, I was handling feminine care protection products, yung mga sanitary napkins, panty liners. It was strange that it was a guy handling it. But I guess you get more insights and be objective about it dahil aaralin mo kung ano yung mga kailangan ng consumers. And then at some point, I was going further and further away from the country, being assigned outside, and I decided to come home and join a local company. And that's when I was able to handle Philippine brands. So most notable of which is what I'm handling now with Century, and let's say, as well as Angel, Birch Tree, Argentina on the international front, are brands that I've been fortunate to be able to manage. So I guess dito ko pinagkunan yung naging perspective in terms of what I wanted to present for this evening. First of all, I wanted to share with you a quick snapshot kung ano ba yung mga top 10 brands globally, and in terms of brand value. So because we're talking that the talk is really about market leadership, and doesn't get higher than this. These are the top 10 brands globally. So of course, it's led now by tech companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and even Facebook. And in terms of valuation, some are bigger than the GDP of entire nation. So Apple is at 205 billion in terms of brand valuation, in terms of dollars. Pero may mga, if you were to look at these brands or the top 10 brands 10 years ago, you would see more consumer products and less of the tech brands up there. And maybe just siguro doon ako mag-center para easier ang conversation in terms of market leadership and valuation. So the brand that I chose among the top 10 is Coca-Cola, because it doesn't get as more consumer product as Coca-Cola, yung tinatawag natin a fast-moving consumer product. So just as an example, just if I can just backtrack one slide, it's the number 6 brand in the world, valued at about almost 58 billion US dollars. And but interestingly, Coke, with their valuation of being the number 6 brand in the world, with a valuation of almost 59 billion, is the market leader globally. So with more than 50% market share. Ang revenue is only 37 billion. But yung tinatawag na market capitalization, because publicly listed po ang Coca-Cola, is already 7 times bigger than the annual revenue of the company. So that is the power of branding. It is because of the strength of the brand and its leadership position that it is able to command a very high valuation as a publicly listed company in the international stock exchanges. So despite sales being less than 40 billion, market capitalization is somewhere around 212 billion, and the estimated brand value is almost 59 billion. So yung gap between the brand value and the annual revenue, that's the power of what branding can do for a company or for a product or for a service. So importante na as you go, if you're going to get into, let's say, marketing a product, it's important to go after market leadership. Ultimately, that's what everyone is after. Ano ba yung mga benefits or advantages of a market leading brand? So one is, as I put here, I tried to be a little bit more, make the presentation a little bit more interesting. It's good to be king. Kung ikaw ang hari, ikaw yung leading brand your profit margins typically are higher than the follower brands. So on average, market leader brands have 2 times higher margins than the number two player. And then it also protects you from price wars. Kadalasan, ang strategy ng most companies or brands, bagsak presyo, pababaan ng presyo to try to steal market share. But actually, leadership positions enable you to protect you from price wars because you have like a loyal following or a loyal base of consumers supporting your brand. You also get yung tinatawag na economies of scale. You have, because of the size of your business, you have greater efficiency and superior, let's say, cost because of the size of the business. Another benefit is or another insight into leadership brands is that dapat hahanapin mo yung superior positioning. Yung positioning, it's defined as ano ba ang tingin ng consumer sa produkto mo or for your brand or product in relation to your competitors. So it's most marketing companies or marketeers would say, I need a big advertising budget, or I need to have like a catchy name. But it's really not about market leadership is attained by gaining a superior position in the brand of the consumer, in the minds of the consumer, I'm sorry. So iisipin nyo kung ano ba yung hinahanap ng consumer, and then you work your brand towards that particular identity in the mind of the consumer. Have your brand own that idea in the mind of the consumer in a superior manner versus your competitors. So it's about building superior or differentiated perceived value. And the qualifying statement there is versus competition. So kailangan, pag inisip nila yung bibili nga ako ng gatas, dapat maisip nila yung brand mo because it is, let's say, creamier, or it has it's a healthier brand. It gives me, it makes my family happy. So that's the position that you've taken, and it does it in a superior manner versus competition. So a good example would be Nike. This is one of the top brands internationally. It's also in the top 10 a while ago. And everybody knows for many years, the slogan is just do it. But the real positioning in the mind of, or the real positioning of Nike is in the minds of the consumer. It talks about for the athlete in you. So everyone aspires to be, let's say, good or active in terms of sport, or at least for those who aspire to be active in terms of sport, you have to have a brand that supports your athletic ambitions. So for the many years, it has been Nike. So if you were to just to test, across different sports, Nike owns that thought in the mind of the consumer. Na this is the brand for the athlete in everyone, or the athlete in you. So Adidas tried to, for many years, also tried to challenge Nike. In fact, nauna ang Adidas sa Nike. Pero naunahan ng Nike because Adidas, while they were still focusing on, let's say, football, a little bit on basketball, Nike transcended sport-specific effort or sport-specific marketing, and really just focused on that idea of for the athlete in you, or for the athlete in everyone. And napag-iwanan yung Adidas until they tried to find a different positioning. So they stopped being hardcore, being a hardcore sports brand, and they repositioned themselves to being a fashionable sportswear. So if you're an athlete, or even if you're not an athlete, and you don't want to look square or too casual, or let's say preppy, ang gusto mong look is fashionably athletic, then Adidas took the step up and presented themselves as that brand. So it's, in a way, it doesn't lead in terms of sports performance, and arguably many people will probably debate me on that one. Pero because Nike owns that, so they went a different route and tried to own, or trying to own now, fashionable sportswear. I think Jelly Victor is watching the show, and she is, I think, one of the endorsers of Adidas. But But still, because of that strong dominant position as the athlete in you, just do it, as driven by the slogan, just do it, Nike continues to dominate the sports apparel category through the many years. Uh, Adidas has been growing as well because they took a different route and not go head on against Nike in terms of sports performance. So I hope that more or less sheds light in terms of uh, leading brands are more profitable. And then to be a leading brand, kailangan you own a position in the mind of the consumer and own that in a very strong way that is competitive to the other players in the market. So Puma is neither here nor there. Still growing, but hindi siya makabuelo because it's not clear what Puma is trying to do. They're both athletic and medyo fashionable, which is owned by Nike and Adidas, and that's why the numbers seem to indicate uh, not a clear positioning for the Puma brand. The other advantage of being a market leader is that if you own that concept in the mind of the consumer, market leading brands tend to defy the laws of yung tinatawag na product life cycle. Ang lahat ng produkto, katulad ng typewriter that I'm showing in this image, nawawala sa uso kasi yan. Over time, something new, a new technology comes in to replace whatever product feature or presentation the product is made in at that particular moment. New things come to replace the older technologies. Market-leading brands and strong positions in the minds of consumers allow or protect brands or immunize brands from the decline that happens from standard product life cycle. Leading brands are able to become larger than the category. Instead of being known as a young typewriter, maybe the brand could have been known to be more of a let's say document management product or brand, and therefore can transcend and outlive yung technology ng typewriter. Mga popular typewriter brands of the past are Smith Corona, for example, if you remember, na nawala na kasi masyadong dumikit sa identity ng typewriter rather than transcend data capture, for example, or document capture. So because it's a strong brand, an example of outliving a product life cycle, ang nauna sa shoe technology, sports performance shoes or apparel was Nike. They were actually siguro similar to the Onitsuka brand from Japan. Lumalaban yung Nike nung araw, presenting themselves as a technology driver in sports performance. And over the years, the technologies in shoes, in performance shoes, have evolved in terms of running, but the Nike brand continues to be relevant. So just to show you a clear example, that was the shoes in the 70s, running shoes. Ito yung sapatos na latest issue ng Nike. And you will see that despite the product life cycles, the brand stays relevant because it owns it in the mind of the consumer, na performance, bringing out the athlete in you. So ano ba yung anatomy ng mga leading brands? One, syempre, ipa-plug ko yung mga brand namin. Yung anatomy of a leading brand, on a product or service level, it must deliver on the functional benefit. Yung pinaka-use or purpose of the product, you have to meet the standard expectation or even exceed if you can, and preferably be superior to competition on some level, not on all levels. For example, in tuna, maybe in terms of flakes or taste, or there's a specific attribute doon sa brand na lamang ka sa lahat ng other brands in the market. So that's what we aspire for. So you have to be superior at whatever, preferably par or superior or excellent in one of the benefits that consumers are looking for. But then you have to, so yun ang basic. But then you have to layer yung mga intangible benefit. So in the case of tuna, for example, or century tuna, aside from it is being healthy, masarap, large flakes, nakakatakam, so yun yung mga functional benefits, you need to provide something that is intangible, yung bang beyond what the brand or product can deliver. So image, for example, value, trust, reliability. In our case, what we've done is we've delivered in the minds of the consumers that if you eat the healthy protein and the ingredients within Century Tuna, then you become a healthier person, health, and you maintain, we espouse a healthier lifestyle. So you become fit, healthy, and we equate it to fit and healthy being sexy. And that's why we use superbuds as a let's say a hook or a key communicating element in the brand to as one of the equity pillars ng brand para makarelate ang mga consumers natin doon sa advantage of the product. And then you have to do it consistently. So maraming brand dyan na sometimes they stand for health and other day in their packaging or in their pricing, hindi consistent. The prescription is the various voices of the brand or touch points, yung tinatawag na consumer touch point ng brand, like advertising, packaging, pricing, product quality, kung saan siya binebenta, kailangan consistent dun sa character or personality that you're trying to communicate. So we could have easily showed a can, but we needed to put elements here in the example of Ann Curtis holding it. There's a bit of a mystery and mystique in terms of, and in terms of how she presented it to drive home that uniformity and unified character and personality of Century Tuna as being cool, hip, and aspirational. Another point is that, pero ang pinaka-basic is that the easiest thing to do is to convince someone of something that he is already convinced of. So yung tinatawag nga nila, preaching to the Pope, di ba? In the many years of marketing, what I've learned is that you need to find what consumers want, and then that's the secret. Dial it up, grow that want in the mind of the consumer, and and own it. That's how you find right positioning. The values offered must be consistent with what consumers want. Otherwise, hindi naman pala nila gusto. Bakit mo itutulak sa kanila yung ganung benefit? So this is an example of our Superbud competition. We came out with Every Bud, Superbud as a slogan this year because we said, whatever form, age, size, body type you are, I think si Paulo was saying, talking about dad buds and all of that, we say that in whatever form that you are, you can be a super bud, and that's something that consumers aspire to. So yan ang hinahanap ng consumer. Gusto ko, whether I'm fit or healthy, I want to be healthier, and that's the communication that we're drumming up. We started it, for example, with the transformation of Raymond many years back, and we've continued that journey in terms of that transformation story. Consistent with, so hahanapin mo kung ano yung inahanap ng consumer, and then you try to own that as a brand in terms of your communication and consistently apply it across. For example, lahat naman ng tao gusto naman nila medyo siksik yung katawan nila, may abs, for example. That's why we use Derek Ramsey in our previous campaigns. Or even James Reid from parang teeny bopper na payat, pinabuff namin, so we reinvented his body. So that's a story that we've been selling for Century Tuna over the many, I guess, past 6 years or so. Not automatically super bud ka na, but you can go through a journey and become a super bud if you follow a certain lifestyle. So my last few slides will talk about some of the battle stories. We've been challenged as a brand, and I promised Paulo maybe to add a little spice to the conversation. There have been brands that have been attacking us, for example, or entering the category. So they spend heavily on advertising. They also bring in their own celebrities, and then they go heavy on advertising, distribution, and promotion. Ang ginagawa namin as a defense, we maintained our leadership stance because we know na sa pag-iisip ng consumer, we own that fit, healthy, and sexy equity. And then we invoked loyalty. So in a campaign, for example, we used, si Ann Curtis was coming from a very popular movie, no other woman, I think, and we captured that and translated that into our campaign. There's no other tuna, and it worked. Despite the heavy advertising spend of our competitors, hindi sila naka 1% market share. Fairly recently, may pumasok na naman na another competitor trying now to go into the premium segment, yung Gold Seas. As you know, our white can is more of the affordable premium product. Naglabas sila ng ultra premium, may mga exotic flavors like, and using olive oil, for example, in their formulation. Then they spent very heavily. Nakakatakot, parang multinational kung gumastos 200 million pesos or so based on advertising rates on advertising. And so I looked at it and said, okay, paano tayo sasagot dito? But again, because as I was saying, market leaders are able to defend and spend less, are more profitable than challenger brands. We came back with a very simple solution. We needed to differentiate from the base white product. So we came up with red. We innovated in communications. Hindi naman yung mga puro abs. Sexy pa rin, but we used older women, yung mga let's say the stars or icons of the late 80s, early 90s. And then we spent efficiently. So versus their 200 million, we spent 6 million on digital with the red campaign. But everyone saw the red campaign of Alice Dixon, Ina Raimundo, and Sunshine Cruz, despite very little advertising spending and being outspent 200 million to 6 million. Digital lang kami pumasok, and we were able to stop the assault. So we eventually worked on the packaging to match Gold Seas, but consumers always remembered that campaign. Even to today, pinag-uusapan ng public. So that's my very quick and dirty sharing in terms of what leadership brands can do and what let's say we as marketeers or brand owners can do. Yon. Kung gusto mo, may bonus ako on pandemic marketing, pero mamaya na yun kung kailangan na lang.
Pwede. Hindi. Ako, I'm happy with that, no? Kahit sabihin na natin very short. And I'm sure all our viewers right now are really sticking to what you're telling us, 'di ba? Parang ginawa mong journey in such a way na ano yung mga pwede nating gawin to get into that market leadership, 'di ba? Parang napakaganda parang ipinakita mo sa amin things that how will you be a king, 'di ba? Sabi mo nga ganon, 'di ba? Syempre parang dapat nandoon yung stance at the same time nandoon yung yung foundation. And parang bitin nga Greg parang bitin. I don't know kung ako lang yung nakakaramdam noon. Pero coming from that presentation, though it's quick, ang dami. In fact, ako nagsusulat ako. And I'm sure most of us right now, talagang medyo in awe of the discussion. Now, everyone, si Sir Greg will be with us till the rest of the show. Hindi naman tayo mahabang show. Kung meron kayong katanungan, ito na yung pagkakataon para mapagbigyan yung inyong viewers queue. Kasi ako meron na akong tanong dito Okay. Greg, okay lang ba? Just to clarify on things that you have mentioned. Unang-una, gusto ko yung sinabi mo kanina na ito karaniwan, hindi lang naman sa mga multinational and players like you, Century Tuna, talagang big time na, sabihin na natin. Marami rin sa atin mga SMEs. Remember that it accounts 99.6, right. Di ba? SMEs yan. MSMEs na nga to begin with, di ba? With Secmon Lopez. Now, very interestingly, how do you really protect na yung price wars? Ito kasi, just to set the premise, everyone, and I'm sure lahat to nakaka-realize ito. Di ba, competition will always be there. Nandyan siya. But remember, everyone, putting value, sabi nga ni Greg kanina, parang how do you have your defense with that. Eto may
Right.
umi-entra, may mga pumapasok, and one of those things, pagka may pumasok na, minsan cutting of prices ang pinag-uusapan. So nagiging price war. Can you tell us, Greg, paano 'yun? How do you handle those things? Yan.
Right. Well, good question. Very timely, I guess, given na papasok tayo sa yung tinatawag na possible recession. And typically consumers ano yan magtitipid kasi yan eh. And they will probably get lured by low price offerings. I think within your category, susukatin mo kasi or within sa let's say the market that you are playing in, you'll need to measure kung ano yung mga sources, yung tinatawag na sources of business. Meron yung tinatawag na volume driver, pero baka hindi siya magiging profit driver. Tapos meron yung tinatawag na profit driver sa category mo. Tapos iintindihin mo kung ano yung pinaka-hinahanap nilang attribute dun sa produkto na hindi nila ipagpapalit ang presyo para dun sa attribute na hinahanap nila. A good example would be one of our competitors, Bear Brand, from Nestle. Ang the message na they are throwing to the consumer is tibay, yung tibay, for example. So despite many other brands coming in at a low price, they sell this idea of tibay sa mind ng consumer na ang consumer, iisipin nila, o sige, mas mura ito, pero ang hanap ko kasi tibay eh. So hindi ko ipagpapalit yung presyo yung pagbili ng tibay doon sa presyo na mas mura. So those are ways, 'di ba? Iintindihin mo kung ano yung hinahanap ng consumer na attribute ng produkto mo, kunyari sa logistics, let's say on time ang hinahanap or completeness, then you deliver on that rather than on low price. So to consumers or customers na importante sa kanila yung on-time delivery, hindi nga nila ipagpapalit yung presyo. So that's the classic defense. Own something in the mind of the consumer na hindi nila ipagpapalit ang presyo doon sa benefit na i-deliver mo. So iisipin mo tuloy kung anong benefit yun. Let's say, sarap or prestige or bilis ng linis. So ganun yung mga approach.
So parang yun everyone yung naririnig natin ngayon, parang yung delivering the promise and value. It doesn't follow that we need to settle for yung alam niyo yung presyo babaan. Kasi tama ba Greg dito, 'di ba? Pag binaba natin ang presyo, parang ninipis ang margin natin. Remember everyone, operational expenses natin hindi naman bumababa yan. And the better of it, 'di ba? Parang dapat yung bottom figures natin at the end of the day, yung profit margin natin, yung niyat natin will be the best thing na makikita natin how our business or how our companies is doing well, 'di ba? Tama partner, no? And ayaw nating i-sacrifice. Remember, 'di ba? Parang ang hirap, Greg, no? Yung kuminsan, parang may mga tao, yung consumer natin, 'di ba nag-iiba yung consumer habit. In fact, ngayong panahon na 'yon, nag-iiba yung consumer habit. Parang we wanted to get a lot of value and yet gusto namin parang reasonable yung presyo, mura yung presyo. Does it follow ba ganun, Greg, na pwedeng mangyari yon with our companies and businesses also? Same value, higher value, but lower price.
Yeah.
How do you amend that?
Sa cellphone industry, for example, if you'll see the Chinese brands versus the Korean brands versus the American brands, I go back to the same premise that I was mentioning a while ago. Yung sa Korean brand, for example, ang pinaka hina-highlight nila is yung functionality, 'di ba? Parang for practical users, 'di ba? So ina-undercut they would undercut the price of like an Apple, for example. But when it goes to the Apple user, despite the advantage of the price of a more practical Samsung brand, yung creativity at saka yung multiple use, I guess, of an Apple brand na dial up nila, as opposed to the China brands that say they can do both functional and like a lot of creative work that you can do with an Apple brand. And then you just have to keep harping on what you can deliver as a brand, yung invoking that market leadership stance, to defend yourself from the price. So mawawalan ka din ng, let's say, consumer base. But one of the things that I've come to realize in the many years that I've been in marketing is that one is the global population is 7 billion. So napakalaki ng market. Here in the Philippines alone, it's 110 million. And inevitably, there will be price challengers. But you need to be able to find your, let's say, defendable niche or your defendable demographic. And then you throw them messages and value that is important to them versus price. So that's the mix, like the Bear Brand example that I touched on a while ago.
Kaya nga yung sabi mo kanina, dapat yung consistently. You know exactly what the value of your brand, of your product. Okay. Greg, eto may mga tanong tayo dito. Ito
Okay.
all the way, I think Rolls Brocales, all the way from UAE, from Dubai. Any tips daw for restaurant in terms of branding? Yan. That's fun.
Yeah. Restaurants kasi are more of an experience, as well as, I guess, the taste, the ultimate challenge is yung food, yung delivery of good food, di ba? So it depends on what you want to be, who you want to be able to capture. Kung, let's say, mga Filipino consumers, for example, you can harp on authenticity, or you can harp on let's say, experience. So when they go to the restaurant, parang they feel at home with their co-Filipinos. Or you can harp on innovativeness. So you marry Middle Eastern and Filipino cuisine, for example. So there are many ways by which you can brand your business. You really just need to understand or try to figure out ano ba yung triggers and hooks that consumers are thinking of, that you can be superior at, or magaling ka sa pag-deliver ng ganong particular advantage.
Ayun. Okay, ito pa. Ito, from Edgar Albania. What's the biggest risk you've taken? Yan. Siguro, he's referring with brands and leadership style mo ginawa dito, and how does it work for you? Yan. Greg?
Mga risk. Siguro I'll talk a little bit more about like past experience, because I don't want to telegraph what we do with Century to our competitors and our friendly, colleagues within the industry. In the past, nasa, let's say, okay, yung sa Selecta, yung nasa RFM pa tayo. So
RFM.
you can challenger brand yan. So you can equate it to a small brand compared to Magnolia or Nestle. Yun yung mga kalaban. Alongside Joey Concepcion, at one point, tinitignan namin, paano ba tayo lalaki as a company? And one of the prescriptions na we came up with was that we need to get into yung white milk category. Kasi meron kaming produkto nung araw, yung Moo, Selecta Moo, chocolate. Mas maliit yung chocolate milk market compared to white milk. And then you gain credibility as a milk brand kung meron kang, let's say, a brand that consumers buy and like in the white milk category. So tinignan namin yung kalaban. They were selling premiumness, quality, creaminess, goodness of white milk. And we said, paano mo naman lalabanan yan? And what we said was that let's get into this category and look at that idea of fortification in milk. So the risk there is that babanggay mo yung mga big players, Nestle, San Miguel, Magnolia, etc., and even imported brands. So we said, challenger tayo, wala, nothing to lose. let's price it a little bit cheaper than Magnolia and Nestle. Pero hindi yun ang i-highlight natin. We will not talk about price. We will talk about fortification. And we called it Selecta Fortified Milk.
Oo nga.
Um,
Oo, I remember that. Oo, I remember. Fortified. Tama, tama.
so, yun lang ang yun lang yung difference na ginawa namin. And today, it is one of the biggest challenger brands in the milk category in the country. Of course, it took a journey of 10 years maybe to get it done. But it's one of the profit and cash drivers of RFM today. And the legacy of that brand outlived my tenure with the company. Nakaalis na ako ng RFM, lumipat na ako ng Century.
Diretso pa rin.
But going up against giants is not always impossible. Kailangan lang, you need to think of the slingshot that you'll use to bring down the giants. So now, Nestle and Magnolia and Selecta Fortified Milk are on same footing. Naglalabanan sila sa merkado. And Selecta is now a giant.
Yes. I like yung kung narinig nyo everyone, no, sabi niya yung kailangan daw meron kang gagamiting slingshot, di ba? Parang David and Goliath to, di ba? Parang kailangan na maintindihan natin, di ba? Una-una yung merkado at again, ano yung pangangailangan nila at alamin mo. Yun, similar dun sa sinabi niya, that's maybe one of the challenge na nagawa nun. But yun nga, as according kay Sir Greg, ito yung legacy na yan. Greg, isa pa, ito may isang tanong ewan ko kung ito parang ayan, meron pala. Ayan, from Gwen Naba. Any criteria in branding commodity products such as feeds, sir?
Kailangan matandaan ng kunyari may target audience, ng target customer nyo, let's say farmers or livestock growers or fisheries operators, etc. What you need them to do is to remember a name attributed to a particular benefit. Kasi kahit commodity pa yan, lalo na kung commodity, kailangan mong iisipin, ano ba yung pinaka-importante or what can your product deliver superior to all the other players in the market. So, kunyari, let's say, faster growth ng livestock, for example. Then papangalanan mong fast grow. I mean, badly put. Iisipin mo kung what you can deliver as a brand or what consumers or customers are looking for. And then, magkikreate ka ng pangalan na madali nilang matandaan and attributed to your company or to your product. So all the more, even commodities, binabrand talaga yan.
Exactly. Greg, batiin lang natin yung mga ibang viewers natin na-stick pa rin from Mia Concepcion ng IPO Philippines. Good evening. Go Negosyo alumni here. Sir Paulo present.
Ayun.
Harry Almanza. Ayan, magandang gabi, Sir
Harry.
Banzon. Sunny Requilias, good evening. I think si Sunny, ayan, naglagay din siya coming from all over, from Bicol. Ayan, Lee Ching from Isla, Sulain, Carol Uy, Vance Endaya. Hi Greg. Yan.
Hello, Vance.
Ito, mga kaibigan na I'm sure ni Sir Greg. Gloria Garcia, yan, from Bataan, magandang gabi. Again, Mia, Jelly Victor, Miss Rhoda, Jade Espanola from Davao. Ito, nasa beauty and cosmetics company. Mario Esquilo from Olongapo. Sir, kumusta po dyan kay Mayor Miss Mercy Pareño of our Provincial Director na TTI natin sa Rizal. Ma'am Mercy, I hope na marami sana po yung inyong mga mentees, nariyan din po sila para makinig po sa atin. Napakaganda po na ating discussion with Sir Greg. Abby Platero, Abby, for your IT-related businesses and so on. I hope you're getting a lot. Sir Frederick from Baguio, Nani Reyes from Laguna, Ann from Zamboanga, Benny from Quezon, Torm from I'm learning a lot, Sir Paulo. Thank you for this. Maraming salamat. Ito, may tanong tayo, Sir Greg, may isa pa from Angeline Mariano. Medyo mahaba to. Imagine the CEO assigns a team quota is undeliverable. It turns out it was calculated based on revenue need, not opportunities and resources. How would you handle this situation? Ayan, talking still about leadership pa rin to as a
Yeah.
executive, sir.
Uh, it's a common problem. It often happens na parang top-down yung pag-cascade ng mga target. But as I
Mm.
said, yung my realization over the many years na in the marketing and sales game is that the market is really big enough for your ambition, I guess, for your aspiration. So obviously, in terms of timing, baka merong issues na hahabulin mo, pero you have to take a step back, assess how big is the market in its present form. What are other adjacent categories na pwede nating or adjacent demographics na pwede nating pasukan na to grow the business. And then yun, you'll have to tailor fit your plan according to going after adjacent categories or markets that you can pursue.
Okay. Okay. So ang daming tanong. Okay lang ba, Greg? Ito pa.
Nice lang.
From Jigger from Jigger Manalo. Good evening, Sir Paulo and Greg. What are the do's and don'ts for a tech startup to maintain brand growth and integrity, or any tips on to for a tech startup? Yan. From Jigger Manalo. Yan. So,
Yeah.
medyo ano to, parang branding and focus on growth on I think baka nasa startup si Jigger, startup company.
Yeah.
Does it follow ba? Pareho din ba?
Yeah, the
In
principles I
terms of
guess will be
brand
the
growth and
same.
so on.
The principles I guess are the same. Ang mangyayari
Okay.
is that depends on what you want to be known for as a tech company. You have to figure out the strongest service or benefit that you can deliver to the industry. And if it's not yet owned by any competitor, then it's worthwhile for you to, for example, in tech, it could be, let's say, digital solutions or uh, simplified e-commerce or something like that. So isipin mo kung what you can deliver that competitors have not been able to do. And then if it's already being delivered by other companies, what makes yours different? Either best service, sometimes price can be used, service, connectivity, things of like commonly used phrases, pain point. What are people um, points of dissatisfaction in the tech industry? Then yun ang papasukin mo, and then you form your branding around the benefit or the
Uh,
that you can deliver to the consumer or
Actually, yun ang
customer.
sinasabi natin. Yun, sinasabi natin lagi, Greg, and for all, no? Parang dapat alam mo yung triggers eh. You
Yep.
have to pinpoint the pain points of your target market. Knowing that, di ba, pag alam mo yung demographics nila, alam mo yung triggers ng need nila, what irritates them, tama ba, Greg? Di ba, what
Right. Right.
irritates them, and then play on that, and then yun, capitalize on it. I think that's with what Greg is telling us all about, with whether you're in different industry, everyone, principle will be the same in how you play around, kung paano makikita. Dapat nakikita nyo yung mga hindi nakikita. Yan, parang ganun siya. Okay, eto pa. Ang dami talaga, Greg. Hi, Sir Paul and Sir Greg. My is, how can you cope up with government mandatories that need to comply with, considering of being small business, for example, sari-sari store? Thank you. Oh, ayan. Greg, alam ko, big time ka na. Baka ito namang ating tagapanood ngayon eh. Baka meron kang isa-suggest para sa atin. Okay, Mr. Jim.
Parang
Yan.
ano yan eh. Parang homework yan eh. Kunyari, grade
Mm.
school, high school, college, di ba? So
Oo.
whether you are a small company o kunyari sari-sari store, meron kasing mga mandatories na required ng gobyerno na you need to be able to comply with. So it's actually good ano eh. Kung if you follow let's say yung naging experience mo sa being as for example a grade school student, high school student, or even a college student, there's normally levels of mga basic na or mandatory na kailangan mong gawin para makapasa ka, di ba? So, I've had experience with working or helping small businesses to start up, for example, and that's typically one of the issues, yung regulatory, tsaka mga controls, but it's a necessity. So you just have to go through it, put the checklist into it, put your effort into it, and then monitor it on a regular basis. And there's no escaping it. Ika nga, di ba? So just have to keep going and doing it.
Parang si DG Ruel dapat ang sumasagot nito. Government
Oo nga,
regulatory.
oo nga. Oo.
Still there? Batiin pa natin ba? Teresita Sebastian from Catanduanes, magandang gabi. Benny Ke, ito isang hotelier from Cebu. Nice topic, Paolo. Congratulations. And Greg is a great resource here. So Benny from your Cebu Chamber of Commerce and all your
Thank you,
hotels
thank you.
and hospitality dyan. Maraming salamat sa inyo at naka-tune in kayo. John Madrigal, good evening from Castillejo, Zambales. Orange among Apple's principal, sabi ni Norm. Yes. Marivic Oligario, inspiring. The market is big enough for your ambition. Tama. And Jigger Manalo have thanked Greg and me for that one. Okay.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, everyone. Ito, sige. Ito, Greg, dyan ka na. Meron pa tayong quick na naman. Alam ko, nag-extend na tayo. Medyo na-delay tayo ng konti kanina because of some technical issues. But then again, everyone, ito po yung isang segment natin na alam kong inaabangan at inaabangan nyo. Hindi ko naman po pagsasayawin si Greg dito. Hindi ko siya pakakatayin. Hindi natin pag-tiktokin. Pero kayang-kaya po niyan. Kung alam nyo lang po, i-follow po si Greg sa IG. Nako, pag nakita nyo po, sabi ko nga, eto nga, partner, baka susunod, power dressing, ikaw yung aking iimbitahan ulit.
Ayan.
Alam nyo, napaka ano po ni Greg.
Power pricing.
Ayan. Power pricing. Ay. Ito muna, bago tayo ulit bigyan ng pansin yung ating tanong ulit, ito yung ating tutok to win trivia question. Okay, ready na po ba kayo? Camille, can we flash kung ano yung tanong natin for, ayan. Everyone, ito yung tutok to win question natin for tonight. Ilang business suit meron si Mr. Greg Banzon sa kanyang wardrobe? Okay, ang simple po ng tanong ilang business suit meron si Mr. Greg Banzon sa kanyang wardrobe? Paano po makakasali? Ulit yung ating mga papremyo. Baka po si Sir Greg magpadala na ng tuna papremyo yung makakahula dito. I-comment nyo na ngayon. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe us in our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Again, Paulo Tibig. Watch our live streaming again through our Facebook page and YT channel. And make sure that you are in by 7 p.m. and get a chance. Siyempre, given yon, Greg, namimigay ako ng libro. Ayan, yung aking ethical leadership book, di ba? O yan.
Dapat mag-collaborate tayo sa isang libro.
Oo nga, yes. I would love to do that. Siyempre, ikaw pa. So yan, bukod dyan, I hope yung ibang products natin, yung mga sponsors natin na parating, meron na. Tapos the first one to give the correct answer on or the closest one, ayan, ang dami nang sumasagot, will win exciting prizes. Make sure to put hashtag the Paulo Tibig Show. Ayan. Pero Greg, wag mong sasagutin kasi ito yung sasagutin natin sa susunod na episode natin sa Sabado. Ayan.
Okay.
Sige po, ilagay nyo lang yung sagot nyo niyan. By tomorrow, yung team namin will check on that and basically ipapaalam natin kung ano ang tamang sagot sa susunod na Sabado. Okay. So again, I think ang ganda nung pinag-uusapan. Siguro just finality on this, Greg, and I hope nakita mo naman yung haba ng oras na pasensya na medyo nag-extend na tayo. Last week din nag-extend din kami. Sabi ko nga sa iyo, we wanted na talagang i-fix siya dun sa number of hours lamang. But then again, this engagement, yung mga taong narito at nanonood sa atin ngayon are really something na I'm sure they're getting a lot of insight given yung kanilang mga comments dito. On finality with this, Greg, how can we ensure, 'di ba, nabanggit mo na kanina market leadership and so on. marami pa rin sa atin ngayon would like to have our companies, given with this pandemic, um, para bang marami yung negative, di ba? How do you still find yung pagkakataon na maging leader pa rin? Whether you're in your business or yung mga companies natin in different industries and sector, how will you ensure that? Yan.
Yeah. Yan yung aking bonus. Pwede bang mag-flash
Yan.
ulit?
Thank you. Thank
Bago ng lahat, babati muna ako.
Sige.
Sa mga nanonood. Yung kaninang bumate si Banzon Daya, malakas na triathlete yun.
Oh, hi, hello,
Ano,
Ma'am Vance ba? Vance, oh, and
Oo.
yung mga
Malakas
triathletes
yun.
na mga nanonood sa atin, oo.
Oo. Natanong niyo yung marketing in the time of COVID. Medyo challenging
Oo,
kasi to eh.
oh,
Meron
bonus
lang
to,
a few learnings.
Alright,
Meron lang a
sige.
few learnings. Sige.
Bonus.
Ginawa ko to para sa'yo, Mr. Pao.
Nahiya naman ako.
Okay.
Parang alam niyo, napakaswerte niyo pong lahat ngayon para sa atin po ito. Binibigay po sa atin, Sir Greg. Yan,
Quick
sige,
and
Sir
dirty
Greg.
lang. So ito ang timeline ng ating pandemic. If you know it, it's as early as January 30, we only had one. And then by March 140, May 16, yung March nagkaroon ng ECQ na tinatawag, 140 lang noon. And then it just accelerated. So there was this period of panic buying, and then towards July, with the extensions of the ECQ and the MECQ and the GCQs, the economy started to get challenged. And I think September 30, I didn't update this since 2 or 3 days. We crossed the 300,000 marker. So anong nangyari sa Pilipinas? Ito yung nangyayari ngayon, the rise of the digital home-based economy. Nagbago yung consumer natin. So for shopping, they have fewer trips. They stay home because natatakot silang lumabas, di ba? Dahil bihira silang lumabas, pag nagpunta sa supermarket or sa sari-sari store, they buy more. So yung tinatawag na basket size, lumalaki. Tapos hindi na female yung nagpupunta kasi syempre kailangan pumila ka na matagal doon. Tapos you get exposed to the virus and all of that. So the male shopper is the one going out, and then of course you all know that digital online shopping is starting to happen. People are dining out less. They're dining, so nagluluto na sila ngayon sa bahay. Health is big. Working and earning is more from home dahil maraming natanggalan ng trabaho, at saka yung mga natanggalan naghahanap ng ways by which pwedeng kumita, so nagbebenta ng mga produkto or kung ano-anong pinapasukan na negosyo. Yung socializing nagbago na, inuman na ngayon, yung electronic na digital connections, very important. Entertainment is affected because there's no more ABS-CBN and people are consuming more digital content like Facebook, TikTok, etc. as mentioned. Saka multi-screen na sila. May telepono, may computer, may TV, just to entertain themselves. Dahil hindi na sila nakakalabas. Wala nang sine, wala nang mga play, mahirap yung lumabas. Tsaka yung online learning ng mga estudyante. So, anong nangyari? Naging restricted ngayon yung buhay ng mga tao, di ba? Parang we're all stuck at home and nagiging digital, and therefore napipilitan sila maging digital. And Philippines has one of the highest digital penetration per capita in the world, even before the pandemic, and more so now, even yung mga mahihirap, nakakapagbili sila ng mga smartphone na tinatawag. So, what do you do in terms of brand development? There are two prescriptions. Or sa brand development, you empathize. Hindi yung benta ka ng benta. Parang you provide uplifting messages. You educate and inform kasi nga, nagkaroon ng seismic shift sa buhay ng tao from being out and about and going to office and all of that. They're now stuck at home. So you need to be able to teach and educate them ways by which they can improve their lives at home, and then enable them to connect. Yung parang hindi nga benta lang ng benta, you have to entertain and foster relationships with your customers and your consumers. So you can do this digitally, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. as a brand or as a business. On the demand generation side, especially for the FMCG, for grocery brands, from above the line na tinatawag, magiging in-store presence ka na. Kasi di na nga sila nakakapanood ng TV eh. Or pag nanonood sila ng TV, may ka-share din na mga other gadgets. Tapos grow the community stores, community sellers. So bring their product and your service to the communities. Um, Set up digital stores, and then of course you need to have like a fulfillment backbone to do that. The other one was on the branding side. So shift the message from being focused on the brand to empathizing with the consumer. So tell them you understand that it's hard to be stuck at home. Tuturuan namin kayo magluto, for example, or tuturuan namin kayo mag-exercise, or tuturuan namin kayong magganchilyo, or whatever, di ba? So make that connection rather than sell them the product. And then in terms of the selling transition, it's not about inviting consumers to go to you. You now have to go to the consumer. You need to figure out ways by which you can connect with them at home and bring your product to the home. So yun lang,
Galing.
related to your question.
Talaga. Alam niyo, napakaswerte ng ating mga viewers ngayong gabi. Napakaswerte talaga. And imagine niyo, 'di ba, yung parang given with the pandemic ngayon, talagang nag-prepare si Sir Greg about things that can help our brand, 'di ba? Parang it's really something about yung connection natin with our brand to our consumer. Kasi nga nag-iba na talaga yung psyche and consumer behavior of our customers and consumer. All right. Greg and the rest of the our viewers from Lee, thank you very much, Sir Greg. I hope that Isla LPG o Soleil can be partners with Century Foods, Pacific Foods in the future. For my question, may question. Last na lang siguro to. How would you react to the brand with the biggest market share offering your current customer with very small margins, given that this pandemic, every companies are looking for ways to lessen spending? Last
Right.
question first, Greg.
Yeah, well, that's always the challenge. One is you have to project yung. Normally, when I get into a price war, what I do is I try to project kung gaano kahaba ba yung PC nung kalaban. And then, kung magiging bloodbath, di ba? Parang magpapatayan sa presyo. Iniisip ko tuloy kung what is it about my product. So, for example, Century is not the cheapest product. And then there are some challengers that will come in and then will drop in terms of price. What is it about the product, for example, now that we can drive to weather this particular period na magkakaroon ng price war? So we're dialing up our premium offering. Tsaka yun ang tinutulak, for example, to insulate our company from a long-term drain in terms of pricing. At some point, kailangan mong sabayan yung kalaban. And I won't lie and tell you that you'll have to engage. But siguro doon sa mga areas where you can win, don't engage them on a national scale. You figure out where are you most beneficially going to be able to price competitively, and then yun na siguro nang yun doon ka magde-defend rather than engaging them nationally. And then meron kang markets na you maintain your pricing approach where you may be more expensive than your competitor, but you have like a loyal base there, and then you dial up kung ano yung what makes your base loyal to you. Dial that up so that despite the price, they will continue to buy from you.
Galing. So these are everyone, these are hindi na branding or market leadership yan. These are strategies na sinishare sa atin ni Sir Greg. At this point, Greg, quick na lamang to, just have some announcement, and then we will wrap up. I'm sure gusto pa nilang marinig yung last remark dito sa ating few minutes na lamang. Everyone, you always follow us on our social media. Bakit? Kasi itong may nakita ko gabi-gabi sana. Nako, hindi po tayo pwedeng kayang gabi-gabi. But then again, basta paghahandaan natin lagi yung kada Sabado ng gabi. Kaya nga sabi ko nga sa inyo, everyone, i-share niyo kasi ang ang dami po talagang learnings dito. Talagang pinag-iisipan to, no? So follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, Paulo Tibig, kasi kung gusto niyo pang mapanood dito, gusto niyo magkaroon ng playback, we're putting emphasis na mag-subscribe po kayo kasi hindi lang po episode natin, maraming videos dito, mga ginagawa kong free learning talks, webinars also, nandun rin po siya. So again, Paulo Tibig sa Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, di ba, for more insights and learning. So sa YouTube, again, ilagay po natin at isubscribe natin on. For your booking signature programs available po, conferences, kickoffs, summits, and so on, let us speak with you. And we hope that our signature programs also can help you with this pandemic or even post-pandemic or lahat ng situation ngayon. Walang problema kasi we wanted to empower our employees, di ba, dun sa ating mga companies and businesses. So let us know. Join Workplace Excellence PH. Lahat po imbitahan ninyo para po makapakinig at magkaroon ng benepisyo out of this professionals community. So don't forget, always fill up yung forms, yung ating pinasasabi. Very 3 question lang yata yun if I'm not mistaken. And then, by the way, for sponsorship opportunities, we are open, no? Yung mga segments po natin and the rest, we have our own packages na we can, if you are interested, just email us or the details below and we will gladly collaborate with you on this, no? Yan. Bago natin hingan ng final word si Sir Greg dito, let us all invite everyone. By next week, again, related topic for next week, we have invited an international coach to help get us through with this. Ano magiging topic natin, everyone, for next week? It's going to be on workplace burnout. Bakit nga ba kailangan natin pag-usapan ito, everyone? Marami ngayon are stress. Marami ngayon talagang pinag-iisipan, di ba? Buzzword nga ngayon, mental health, self-care, and so on. And I hope the next episode on Saturday, abangan nyo po ito kasi ito naman po, paano naman po natin i-manage yung ating stress para hindi umabot ng burnout. Abangan nyo po yan sa Sabado, 7 p.m. PPT show. Okay, so on this, Greg, I think any last word? Kasi if I may synthesize what you have said, napakadami nito, no? Just to before you finally say something about this, sabi mo nga, everyone, just to run down of things, no? Parang kanina pinag-usapan niya, we need, whether in our company or businesses, we need to be king, di ba? In our brands, we need to protect our brands, di ba? From price wars and so on. Remember always that you have to position in the mind of your consumer. Yan ang sabi niya. And market leadership and superior brand positioning are always linked. Okay? Market leaders need to live longer. Dapat immunize tayo. Yun ang term. I like the word, Greg. Ibabaro ko yung ginamit mo. Immunize. Ganda. Ganda. Immunize from the decline doon sa life cycle. And then, ang key, everyone, para maging market leader ang inyong negosyo, ang inyong companies, di ba? Yung companies natin. Sabi niya, another thing is about yung functional benefits. Merong tangible at dapat may intangible. And then you have to do it consistently. Yan ang term. Consistently para mabigay natin yung need at yung wanted ng ating consumer or ng ating customer. Whether you're into retail, FMCG, services, pharmaceutical, restaurant, IT, and so on and so on. Okay. Greg, final messages with this pag-synthesize of this extended TPT show. Greg, time, go ahead.
No, one of the
Or
things
any,
I've learned through
yung promotion ng brand, so on, sige na, go.
you know what? No, it's one of the things I've learned through many years of managing businesses is that crisis does not last forever. The trick, what you need to do is try to forecast how long will the crisis last, and then what do you need to do to survive and even thrive during the crisis. And if you go find a quiet place and think things through, there's always an answer. And we've lived through the Asian financial crisis. We were in Indonesia, for example, when there was a period where there was rioting and all of that. Pero ang crisis, whether it's a global pandemic or let's say domestic issue at home, hindi tumatagal yan eh. So ang tanong, anong gagawin mo habang meron nung crisis na to? So um, I think a lot of people are starting to rise from the very many challenges that this pandemic has brought to many of us. And I go back to my first statement. It is programs like what Paulo is doing that provides answers for many people and provides hope and inspiration for people to continue moving forward and overcoming the crisis. So thank you again.
Alam niyo, maraming salamat, Sir Greg Banzon. It was truly a night of, an insightful night. Sabi ko nga, everyone, gusto nating baguhin yung ating Saturday night habit para patuloy tayo, di ba? We need to keep growing. We need to keep learning this type of insightful topics and discussion. I hope na nakakatulong ko sa inyo. Greg, maraming salamat. Last word for this. Doon sa mga gusto pang bumate, at ito may mga nagte-text pa rin sa akin from Miss Roda. Miss Roda, Executive Genesis Services is here for you daw. If you need third-party service provider, sila yung nagpo-provide ng manpower sa ating mga supermarkets, sa mga ating mga promodizers. Ayan, marami sila dyan. Gwen Naba, thank you. Fred Aguinaldo, yes, balikan nyo po at balikan to. Kay Mon Martinez, maraming salamat. Everyone, hindi ko na nabasa lahat, but then again, I think what we have narinig natin lahat ngayong gabi, everyone, is that it's really possible to be market leaders in our companies, in our businesses, and it really is something that will work if only you know exactly kung ano yung ating product by heart, ano yung dapat nating gawin, ano yung strength ng ating businesses, ano yung demographics and so on. And syempre, the triggers and the pain points that we have to figure out in order for us to be king and so on. Everyone, Sir Greg, maraming salamat. Any last few things that you want? Sige na, i-mention mo na. Century Tuna, Patronize, alam mo, open naman tong ating show kasi we wanted to also help brand, di ba? We wanted also to help yung mga companies natin. Parang sino pa ba ang magtutulungan? Tayo lang din naman yan, everyone. Ako na magsasabi kung naiya si Sir Greg, patronize po natin yung mga produktong Filipino at alam naman po natin, one of the really main driver of our Philippine economy yung supporting our local products. And Greg's Banzon's team, di ba, with Century Pacific Group, di ba, from their, ano bang mga brand? Century Tuna, ewan ko lang.
Argentina Canmeat, 555, Birch Tree.
Sige, ano pa?
Angel, Coco Mama,
Swift. Swift. Wow, dami. And I hope tangkilikin po natin lahat yan. And sana, Greg, hindi lang ito yung huling pagkakataon that we will be inviting you over. Maraming salamat. And I'm sure most of our viewers right now would stick, di ba? And this will be played over and over again, thousands of views and so on. Sana nakatulong din kami para ma-share po sa inyo with Sir Greg Banzon dito ng ating tonight's guest for our TPT show. Sir Greg,
thank you.
Thumbs up, salute, maraming salamat. Everyone, bigay po natin kung paanong palakpak, kung anong pwedeng compliment ang pwede nating ibigay kay Sir Greg. Basta po, nagpapasalamat kami in behalf of all these viewers all over the Philippines and all over the world. Sir Greg, maraming salamat. Everyone, this has been a very insightful night again, and I hope na marami po kayong insight na nakuha. Whether in your business, in your companies, how will you benchmark, how will you use this, and let these learnings ma-equip kayo towards, di ba, meeting your company's objective and business objective all throughout, regardless of this pandemic season or not. Maraming salamat, Greg. Maraming salamat for taking time. To all people, maraming salamat sa inyo. At magkita-kita tayong muli sa Sabado, alas 7 ulit. Ipaalam na, baguhin ang habit ng Sabado ng gabi. At alam nyo, everyone, ang show na ito ay hindi lang para sa akin, hindi lang para kay Sir Greg, but para sa ating lahat. Everyone, magandang gabi at mabuhay tayong lahat and God bless you all. Everyone, maraming salamat. Yan. Yan. Greg, smile lang. Picture lang, isang picture. Oh, yan. All right. Thanks everyone. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Oh, asan ang extra natin? Extra. Thank you, Greg. Asan ang
Thank
extra?
you.